Welcome everyone to the Great Game of Thrones Nerd Off, the spoiler cast where we talk about what's happened in the latest week on Game of Thrones and just nerd out and nerdgasm all over your ears, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yes, I'm joined, as always, by Ellen. How are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Hello, everybody.
Hi. So, episode 2 was called Home, and should we just start with Bran then, I guess? So,
Yeah,
full disclosures, there are spoilers all the way through. It's a spoiler cast, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, bugger off and watch it, then come back, okay? Because, like, that bit where Cersei dies, you know, we don't want to spoil that for you if you haven't seen it yet. So, spoiler cast, spoilers. There we go, we got that out of the way.
We can dream, but
Right. So yeah, start the episode. Bran, the least interesting character, had an interesting scene because it wasn't really about him.
Very true. Yeah, it was the first time we've seen Bran in about a season, and we're kind of finally getting to see him interact with the three-eyed raven who he's been looking for. And there's this really great scene where you're seeing Eddard, you're seeing Benjen, you're seeing Lyanna as they were as kids at Winterfell. And so it's kind of getting a little bit of flashback. And as you said, it's one of the most interesting things that's happened to him in a very long time. Yeah.
And it's great. You get to see Hodor before he was Hodor.
Yes,
I thought that was really cool.
Willis. He was a real person.
Yes, which I'm actually really interested to see where they go with him because I want to know why he only says Hodor. I wonder if it's like someone casted like a hex on him or something.
Quite possibly,
but
I'm
something like that.
Feeling that Benjen had something to do with it. I just have this really terrible feeling that they did spar.
He hit him so hard or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, that was interesting because I guess we'll talk about it. So like the biggest fan theory out there is that Jon is the son of the lady who we saw in the flashback.
Lyanna.
Yes. And that's why he was never told about it. So he is part Targaryen. So that's like one of the biggest sort of fan theories about Jon Snow's background in general. Is he's part Targaryen, so he's sort of related to Daenerys. So they're going to go hold hands, get a dragon each, and go and wreck everybody. That's kind of that's definitely what's going to happen. But this but that scene sort of plays into that, I guess, and that or a stoking the fan fire, and then it'll never happen. But
yeah, I mean, there's got to be some point to showing it because they always have everything is very thoughtful, I guess, in the series. So, especially because Lyanna has been talked about multiple times, and especially even in the first season, there was like that big conversation between Robb and between the king. Obviously, he got
King
stabbed
Robert,
by Boar and died. Yeah, King Robert, and Eddard, and like talking about Jon and like him as a bastard, and this kind of look in Eddard's face that that's not so true.
Yeah, so I'm interested. I'm hoping they do more of these flashbacks, and we get to see kind of Ed as a kid, and get to see kind of what happened. Because I don't know if we'll ever get a prequel series, but
pretty much not.
This may be the closest we get to such a thing.
Yeah.
I think.
I also want to know what happened to. I want to know what happened to Hodor. I want to know what made him Hodor now.
Yeah, but I do fear it's going to be sad. I don't think it's going to be a nice thing that's going to have done that. Can't have been, right? Maybe that can be fixed though. Maybe once we find out what it is, or something that they can fix and make him not Hodor.
Maybe. We'll see.
Turn into a giant tank and just wreck everyone.
He's pretty much a tank now.
Yes. So after that, we had the confrontation that sort of started off in the last episode at the wall. They went to knock down the door to beat everyone up, kill Davos and
take Jon's
friends.
body.
Yeah, but luckily the wildlings turned up. One of the giants smashed a trigger happy crossbow man into a wall and ragdolled him, It was a bit like the scene with the Hulk and Loki in
A little
the
bit,
Avengers.
yeah.
If any of you guys have seen that's what it reminded me of. Where he just picks him up and ragdolls him everywhere. I thought that was quite funny. But like, there was a bit where Davos talks with Melisandre about being able to revive Jon, and it's the first time we've seen her sort of a bit down in the dumps, I guess, because everything she predicted is sort of gone tits up, and so they've generally not been that fond of each other, like to this point, and he's sort of cheering her up, seeing a side of her we haven't seen so far.
He's, to a certain extent, he never really believed her until he saw her give birth to that kind of fire demon. The smoke demon, and he's always incredibly resented her because she blamed her for everything that happened to Stannis, basically, like kind of leading him in the wrong direction. And this is the first time he's actually kind of said to her, "Look, no, you can do things and they're important, and you should believe it in yourself."
Don't understand why you can make like demon babies and revive people and such, but you can, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that leads into the last scene of the episode, which we'll talk about at the end.
Yeah,
but yes, and Sir Alistair gets imprisoned because he's a twat and he deserves it, so that's a good thing.
Yep, all the traitors get imprisoned, which is nice to see.
Which is kind of all of them, pretty much. So it's just going to be the wildlings now, and that's about it. Now the wildlings own the wall, so that'll be a thing.
Makes the most sense if you're thinking that the White Walkers are coming, right? So, winter is coming. They're the best to defend the wall, to be quite honest.
Well, they did do a great job in that village, did they? To be fair, they did get their ass handed to them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So we just need Daenerys and our dragons. They'll be fine. They'll just eat them. That's what's going to happen. But then, so there's a few different bits happening in King's Landing, so we'll kind of group it all together, I suppose. There was the funeral for Myrcella. When Cersei wasn't allowed to be there, she was trapped in her in the tower. She wasn't allowed to leave, so it's just Jaime and the king. And then when the king left, the High Sparrow turned up, and I guess I think that was maybe my favourite scene. It was like a We Are Legion kind of thing going on, where they were saying, yeah, you could probably stab me in my face, because Jaime was less than fond of him. You could say, you could stab me in my face, but there's more of us than there are of you, and as soon as you take off one head, another one pops up in its place. So they're just saying, like, you kill one of us, another one will come along, so you won't, you'll never win, basically. And it's kind of like a bit of a showdown. Because, I mean, Jaime's not as strong as he used to be since he lost his hand. He probably was at a point where there was, 10 to 15 of the followers in there. Like, before he lost his hand, he could probably wreck all of them quite easily. But I think he's a bit more vulnerable now. So.
Yeah, because if he knows if he gets hurt or if he dies, he's in massive, massive, massive trouble.
And he's kind of the last person defending Cersei now, really. Because everyone's dead. Tywin's dead. Joffrey's dead. All of the big Lannisters are kind of gone, other than them two. Tyrion's obviously over in Meereen.
Yep, he's in Ark-house. He's not. Well, they'd cut off his head as soon as he walked back. If they're still there, he's dead, basically.
And the king is weak and kind of useless.
Tommen,
yeah, Tommen. So it's Cersei and Jaime, basically. That's all that's kind of left.
She knows how useless he is. Like that scene where they're talking in the Red Keep, and he's apologizing to her. Really made him look like a kid. Like less. I mean that the prop that they've given him, that crown he wears, is very small on his head. It looks incredibly small.
Yeah.
Which I think is done very purposely to show that he is like really not much. I mean, he's not in charge at all. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has to run back to his mother.
Yeah, pretty much. She is essentially in charge for all intents and purposes.
She knows she's screwed up. She looks so distraught. She knows she's screwed up.
So yeah, and speaking of the mountain, he has maybe my other It's his best moment and maybe my other favourite scene of the episode. There's a guy, I'm not even sure, I know he was in a previous season, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But there was a guy who was talking about Cersei. She was being dragged through the streets, and he said that he whacked his knob out, and like he was just talking shit basically about Cersei. He's drunk off his tits. He walks down an alleyway, and then he just turns around. He sees the mountain. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm so screwed!" And he just, with one hand, squishes his head into a wall, and it's fucking awesome. It's just done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just a bit like a grape. And also one really interesting thing about that, because not only is it great to kind of see exactly what he can do, like we know he's very strong, because obviously his previous life is a natural living person. Now he's somewhat Frankenstein-ish
demon
creature.
Frankenstein guy.
Yeah. It still means that Cersei has friends and little birds everywhere.
If push comes to shove, I think Mountain will take down quite a few before they get to Cersei, shall we say? So,
yeah. I do think in that scene where they're kind of facing off, where the guards are telling her she can't leave, I would have liked to see what happened, because I think he probably could have.
He would have won. Yeah, he'd have won easily. There was like 6 guards. And like, as you can see when he put his hand on the hilt of his sword, like they all took massive gulps. Like, oh fuck. Please, please.
They were like, please no, please no.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I hope he fights someone of note at some point this season. Someone who knows how to fight. Like, I want to see what he can do now that he's like a...
Yep, I want to see that.
So, shall we talk about Bravos? It's only quite a short little bit.
Yeah, it was a very short scene. Arya is still living on the streets at that kind of point, and she seems somewhat prepared, but also not to face the waif again. And she is confronted by Jaqen. Well, we assume we assume it's Jaqen, right? I mean, so, and she insists that she is nobody, and he seems to be quite pleased with that, and is like, okay, well, come with me. You're no longer on the street. We're gonna go and teach you how to be this person that you want to be.
I think it's funny because she's got this big list of people that she wants to kill, but the problem is it's taken her so long to develop into this amazing ninja assassin that by the time she has, they'll all be dead anyway. You think of all the people she wants to knock off, there's hardly none of them left. Like Cersei's still knocking on, but that's about it. Yeah.
And Theon, maybe. I can't remember if Theon was on the list.
I don't think he was. I mean, the main ones were Joffrey, the Hound, Tywin. So they were the main ones, weren't they? And they're all dead. So I can't remember if she ever wanted Tyrion dead.
No,
I don't think she did.
She did? Okay, I can't remember him being on the list.
As I say, I don't remember. But I know Cersei and Tywin were the kind of the two, and Joffrey were the sort of main ones, and they're all pegged it, so...
Yeah. I wonder if she knows all this stuff as well, because she has been so disconnected.
And obviously she's like across the sea, so news doesn't really travel there, really, does it? So
Yep.
Yeah, and then there was like quite a fun scene with dragons. That was we saw Tyrion thinking that maybe we should free the dragons because they're probably a bit sad that they're they're caged up. And I thought, I'm not really sure what his logic was in it, to be perfectly honest. But
I think it's this kind of desperate attempt. So, like when he's talking to Varys, talking to Missandei and Grey Worm, he's kind of like, maybe we should just let them free, because like everything kind of went bad for Daenerys' ancestors. As soon as they started caging all their dragons, they got really small and became like cat-sized, and so that's when they started to lose all their power. People were able to challenge them and eventually overthrow them. So maybe they just need to let the dragons go. And
let's be honest, they're not going to win without them.
No.
It's absolutely key for them to have the dragons, especially the White Walkers. Like, obviously their weakness is dragons, so they maybe don't want to be a bit hungry before they fight, because they're gonna need their strength.
Yep, and they did seem to have some sort of thought process, definitely when he was talking to them and offering to let them go. That was a really good scene, actually. It was really well. I did. I
I
enjoyed
enjoyed how
that.
Varys joined him and all the way up until he got to the area where they're being kept, and then he just stood at the door and
Mm.
said, "No, you crack on, mate. You go
Yeah,
up to Hungry Dragons and see how well it goes for you. I'll
yeah.
just stay here and be a chick."
I I feel like if anyone's gonna outlive everybody, it's just gonna be Varys. He's just too
Yeah,
smart.
yeah, this is it. I feel the same about Tyrion, like because he knows how to play the game. Like that's what him and Varys always talk about, innit? Like they play the game of politics,
Yeah,
and they know how to pick the winning side. And
yeah.
although Tyrion seems to get stuck in it a bit more than he'd probably like, with wildlings throwing axes at him and getting stuck on the front
Being
line at the Battle of
Skylar
Blackwater and stuff.
sells.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's always fun.
but he always
Also,
seems to soldier through. So
he does. And one thing interesting thing of that episode is that you kind of learn that all the cities that Daenerys had freed from slavery have fallen back into slavery again. Yeah, Stapor and
so as
Yonkai.
soon as she left, they took back over again, basically. And
Yeah,
it's
without her as like the kind of overarching presence, they don't feel very scared anymore, I guess you'd say.
they're only in control of the place that she's in, pretty much.
Yep.
Yes. Then we had quite a few scenes that sort of linked together with the Iron Islands this episode, with the Greyjoys and stuff. Theon was in it with Sansa. He said that he's going to leave and head back. He wants to try and sort of atone for all the shit he's done. I mean, I feel really sorry for him as a character. He's had a rough old life, bless him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Theon was it's like Theon wanted so much power and to be respected so badly because he was so well, not so much disowned by his family, but definitely given away by them. So he's always wanted to be taken around. So he was kind of pushed down to the dirt and kind of made to see that that was useless, what he was going for. And the one thing he needs to do is, I guess, find peace. So that scene was nice between outside Winterfell. Sansa, Theon was very touching, and it seemed like she had forgiven him to a certain extent.
And then we got Balon saying, "Fuck all of them. We're going to go attack them, even though we won't win." Basically,
Yeah. So we
because
go
he's
to
a
the
bit of a
island.
freaking idiot.
Yeah, we go to the the Highlands. We see the Greyjoys, and yeah, it's
Doesn't
he
end.
seems
It didn't end well for him, did it? He kind of got
no,
justice. I mean, it was. I don't know what you thought. But I thought it was sort of maybe it's something that was inevitable when you see the state of that bridge, like
yeah.
in
I
a
had a feeling.
storm, rickety old wooden bridge.
Yeah, I had a feeling that Yara was gonna come out and just cut the rope and be like, "Bye." But obviously that conversation, she just knows that they're losing this war. She's like, people are just dying. We need to like stop and just live here and try and make the best of it. And he's like, no, we're just gonna basically go down, into the waves or like with the ship. And then
It's ridiculous.
it is very stupid. It's very stupid. He kind of says to her like, I'll just make another error if you don't want to agree with me. So it's very kind of stubborn. And then his brother shows up.
Because in the books that just said that he fell off a bridge, they don't actually go into detail of who anyone pushing him. They just
Yeah,
imply that he's a bit old and senile and fell. They don't go into
yeah.
any more detail. But in this, his brother pushes him off.
Mhm. And that scene was brilliant on that swing bridge, and just the waves and the crashing was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because his whole point, Balon is all about like the idea of like whatever, what's dead may never die, and the drowned god and all this kind of stuff. Where he kind of that obsession with it, and unable to see so much behind the kind of facade of it is what was his kind of downfall in a way,
He got what he deserved eventually.
pretty much.
Yeah, so now I guess they're gonna sort of play more of a part in it now that we've got a new leader, and it's not the girl. She's been told again that you won't rule. It's me. Get over
Pretty
it, basically.
a little bit like that. Like so when they're like giving his Balon's body off to the sea, the priest kind of tells her that you can't, and it's not just going to be given to you. You actually have to go through a certain amount of trials. And I'm assuming Yara is going to have to go up against Balon's brother, Euron Greyjoy, so that should be interesting to see what's going to happen there. because we haven't really seen a lot of the island. We haven't seen a lot of the islands for a lot of the last season as well in terms of Yara and what's been going on there. So it's nice to see her again.
So maybe we should talk about Winterfell, because a thing happened in Winterfell.
Thing did happen.
A thing happened.
Yep, so we go back to Winterfell. We're seeing the Boltons again. Favorite people in the world. But at this point, Roose. So it's a conversation that kind of starts off the scene there between Roose and Ramsay and one of the Bannermen who is in the north who had been
It was
wronged.
Karstark.
Yeah.
It was Karstark because his dad was killed by Robb, weren't he?
He said that his dad. So he sees it as being great wrong. So he turned against the Starks. And favoured the Lannisters and the Boltons and helped them overthrow. And it's this conversation of what are they going to do? And Roose is very much like, no, we're not going to go and attack, these villages. We can't afford it. And then Ramsay just wants to kind of do a full-on assault on the wall on Castle Black, which Roose says is stupid and ridiculous. And at the same time this is going on, his wife is in labour. Walda is in labour and she gives birth to a boy, and that seems to set Ramsay off. He comes up to his father seemingly as a congratulatory hug and then stabs him in the chest.
Yeah. Well, it seemed impulsive. Like, it didn't seem like he'd planned there and then was when he was going to kill him. Although we kind of, would have guessed that he would do it at some point because it was obviously his goal.
Yeah.
But the thing, and then after that, he kills the baby and the mother as well, setting dogs on him. But the thing is, like, I think they've fucked up Ramsay as a character because he's too one-dimensional. He's like, he's a massive dick and he's horrible to everyone and all that, but there's just nothing to him. Like, you compare him to, say, Joffrey, he was, the villain everyone didn't like, but his character had depth. Like, he had an inferiority complex, like, up against his grandfather and, like, going through the war and stuff. Robb was out there in the thick of fighting and getting stuck in, and he was always scared to do it. So, like, when he had the scene with the prostitutes and that, he wanted to try and show off dominance and stuff because he always sort of felt weak and stuff. And there's no side like that to Ramsay. He's just a dick, and that's
Ramsay
it.
is a pure sadist. He enjoys other people's suffering.
Yeah,
and the power he has over them, which definitely stems from his being a bastard and I guess never feeling like he amounted to anything because titles are so important to them.
Yeah, I just feel like he's a really bland character. See, he'll eventually die. Someone will finish him off and stuff, but he's kind of been written into a corner, I guess. Whereas, well, what else can he do? Like, his biggest is dick. That's that.
Yeah. There's nowhere more for him to go. So much as like emotional progress, other than like just more crazy and insane. Which he seems to be going in that direction, or if he's just already reached it.
So I suppose we should probably talk about. Well, the thing is, it's supposed to be the big thing that happens in the episode, but it's something that everyone knew was coming, and is just horrendously kept secret. And it's nothing shocking, but
it's not shocking. The only thing that shocked me about the end of this episode that it happened so quickly. I thought it would take it at least towards the end of the season for it to happen.
Really?
And I thought it would be a lot different. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought so. So this is obviously the biggest thing that happened is that Melisandre does manage to revive Jon, bring him back to life. So she brings his dead body back to life. They don't. So Davos, one of the Wildling leaders, Tormund, I guess he's Wildling now, and Melisandre, they don't get to witness it because it happens. Obviously, because it's very stereotypical of shows to have kind of it happen. As they've left the room and like no one sees it, but
and suddenly the eyes open. But it's interesting because my theory on it might be different to yours. But so what do you think it happened?
I was assuming that they were going to, after I thought, okay, so she'll put the spell on him, and I was like sitting and watching episodes, and I was saying like, oh, um, yeah, they're gonna put him on the funeral pyre, he'll burn, and then he'll come out of the flames like Daenerys did.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was gonna happen.
Okay. So, like one of the biggest fan theories, I can't remember what the actual ability is called, but the ability that Bran has, where you can like,
A walk, yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so that is an ability that runs through the Stark bloodline. So, obviously, Bran is already in control of, well, learning to control his ability to do that, but he's not the only one. And like one of the biggest sort of theories going around, and something like by the way they shot the scene, what I kind of subscribe to is Jon has that ability as well. So when his body died in, from being stabbed lots, he went into snow.
Into the actual snow.
Not snow.
Oh, ghost.
Snow ghost. Sorry, I don't know why I called him snow. Went into ghost. So then once Melisandre did her revival spell, his body was able to be inhabited again. You see the way that Ghost looks up to him, and then he suddenly awakes, as if he's going back into his body.
Possibly. I think
Like,
that
the way
cancels
that's
out another theory, though, doesn't it? In a way, because if the theory, one of the other theories is that he isn't a Stark and he actually is a Targaryen.
Yeah, but he's half and half, isn't he? Because he's got a Stark father and
right.
a Targaryen mother. This is what I'm saying.
Well,
like
Stark
with...
mother and Targaryen father.
Yeah, so yeah, sorry.
Presumably. Yeah, presumably. I mean, this is all theory, but
yeah, but it's just I just like the way they shot it with Ghost looking over and then he took control. It's just like it made you think like with the way that once he was dead, the way Ghost was sort of pouring at the body, was that maybe Jon trying to get back in?
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean? It's all theory, and we don't know. We don't know probably till next episode when we see Jon and what state he's in and such. But it's just a theory that I quite like the sound of, and why that scene was shot kind of makes it seem plausible, I guess.
I wasn't shocked that it was going to happen because I knew it was going to happen. I just was shocked that it happened so early. I thought that would have made us wait a very long time.
Well, the thing is, like, Game of Thrones in general is so slow in its pace, and they kind of need to get a shift on with stuff happening. Like, I don't think they could have afforded to drag that out any longer than they did. Because, I mean, obviously we got none of Daenerys this episode. We got none of Dawn, which is a good thing, because fuck Dawn, no one cares.
I'm never going to say that I missed Dawn.
No, but it's another storyline that wasn't in that episode, and it's the thing. There's so many different characters with plot lines going on at the minute. Like we saw nothing of Marjorie or anything like that. That they kind of need to get a shift on and start combining some of the storylines, I think. Like obviously we haven't seen any White Walkers yet this season either. No, I mean there's only ever 10 episodes in a season, so
yeah, I reckon we won't see the White Walkers again until the end of the season, and they'll be right at the wall.
Yeah, I agree. But I just think, like they've combined, so obviously Tyrion and Daenerys, their sort of storylines are getting to the point where they're interlinked.
Yeah,
I think they need to start doing a bit more of that.
I feel like Dawn
dense it down a bit.
Yeah, I think that Dawn will eventually link up, possibly with the Iron Islands.
I think
possibly because they both are interested in. Well, Dawn is interested in revenge, and also the Iron Islands, to a certain extent, is because they want to have strongholds in the north. That's what their interests are, is having something on the mainland. So maybe I could see that linking up. I can't see where Braavos comes in so very well. I don't know if that's going to stay a separate storyline. It seemed very much isolated from everything else.
Yeah. Well, that's the point, in it. They are separate from everything else. They just kill people as and when they need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think overall? Did you enjoy the episode?
I did enjoy the episode. I think a lot of good things that needed to happen happened. I was a little bit disappointed with the way that John was brought back to life. I would have preferred for it to be a little bit more epic. Um, a little bit. I don't know. That's to me. I was just very tired. I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah,
I was like, eh.
it seemed like it was just he's coming back. Here you go. Anyway.
Yeah. I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it, but I was definitely like hoping that it would have been something to akin of what happened to Daenerys. That's only my own kind of wish to see their storylines link up more,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
But yeah, he's back. So I'll be in, like I know what will happen in the next episode. They'll completely neglect his storyline completely, and they'll just do a massive cock tease and just not go there for the whole episode because they're dicks like that.
Yeah, and then those looks like probably a much more stronger focus on Daenerys.
They need to get cracking on with her, don't they?
They really do to see what's actually happening with her in the Red Waste.
Yes. We just need like a heist episode where fucking...
where they come and save her.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, they just need to turn up. Jorah just needs to turn up. Say, oh yeah, don't touch my arm, but let's get out of here.
Maybe just needs to walk around with the arm out and say, just let me through, possibly.
Yeah, pretty much. Just wave it in their faces. Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, that was episode 2. So I guess same time next week.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks everybody for listening. And if you had any thoughts on the show, any theories on Jon, anything like that, let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining me, Ellen, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.